Good evening, everyone. This is a regular meeting of the Judson School Board of Trustees and is hereby called at 7:00 p.m. I'm very pleased that you have taken time to join us this evening. As the Judson Board of Trustees, we are here to set goals and policies and oversee the management of the district. We are responsible for approving budgets, contracts, personnel appointments, and to listen to reports from the superintendent. We are not here to make administrative or management decisions pertaining to the daily operation of the district. This is the responsibility of the superintendent. In compliance with the State Government Code of Open Meetings, tonight's agenda has been appropriately posted. This is a meeting in public, not a meeting of the public. As our guests, you're welcome to observe and listen. These proceedings are being video and audio recorded and will become part of Judson's permanent legal record. In order that the tape adequately reflects these proceedings, please silence your mobile phones and refrain from talking while others are speaking. Since it is legally mandated that these proceedings are recorded accurately, I may have to ask for order periodically should I notice that disruptions are interfering with our recording capabilities. Once again, I extend to each of you a sincere welcome. Thank you for your interest in the Judson Independent School District. The subjects to be discussed are considered or upon which have formal actions may be taken and are listed below. Items do not have to be taken in the same order as with the meeting notice. Unless removed from the consent agenda, items identified within the consent agenda will be acted on at one time. At this time, I'd like to have a roll call to establish a quorum. Mr. Salinas.
Here, sir, and I want to thank everybody for being here this evening, taking of your time to come to this very important board meeting. Thank you and welcome.
Ms. Bashaw.
Good evening and welcome. Thank you for coming tonight.
Mr. Macias.
Welcome, present, and thank you for being here.
Mr. LaFoyle.
Welcome and God bless you.
Dr. Salinas.
Welcome. It's great to see people here from the 80s.
And Dr. Montoya.
Welcome to everyone that's here, as well as our students and staff.
At this time, I'd ask for you to stand so we can do an invocation to be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. Dr. Montoya.
Please bow your heads as we discuss items that become very important to our school district, our students and staff. We ask that we always remember this is about the success of our students, our community, our schools and staff, and that we keep that focus always in our hearts, our words, and in our prayers. We pray to the Lord. Thank you and amen.
Amen.
And I'd like to introduce to you our pledge leaders for tonight. First of all is Elizabeth Diaz. Elizabeth, come on up to the microphone. Elizabeth is a fifth grader from Miss Stowell's class at Spring Meadows Elementary. Elizabeth has been involved in safety patrols, choir, and art, and she loves reading and animals and helping people. Her parents are Leticia and Carlos Diaz. And we also have another pledge reader. We have Isaac Marrero, who is from Miss Lewis's class at Spring Meadows. He is quite a leader, always looking out for his classmates and always looking for ways he can be helpful. Isaac enjoys sports, especially basketball, and is involved in the after-school basketball club. His mother is Mary Vitar. Let's join Elizabeth and Isaac in the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. and Texas flags.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Order, arm. Ready, face. Forward, march. March, sir. March. Out of our hold. Ready, left. Ready, hold. Ready, hold. Ready, left. Ready, face. Crease and arm. Order, arm. Ready, face. Forward, march.
You may be seated. Let's give Elizabeth and Isaac a hand for a very nice job. Board members, if you would come around here, stay right there because you're going to take a picture with the board here in just a minute. And if Isaac and Elizabeth's parents are here this evening, can you stand up for everybody to recognize, please? Jackie, do you have the certificates? I'd also like to recognize the Wagner High School Junior ROTC, who was here this evening. Cadet First Lieutenant Joel Correa, Cadet Sergeant First Class Gaston Martinez, Cadet Staff Sergeant Austin Wiley, and Cadet Private Andrew Nuncio. And now Superintendent Dr. Montoya would like to say a few words about our student liaisons this evening.
Every board meeting, we invite some of the high school students, our student leaders from our high schools, because part of growing up in a school district is only the academics, but the leadership and the public relations and knowing what it's about. So if you would stand up, we're going to give you a round of applause, and then Mr. Linscomb will read their names, and we'll go from there. So thank you very much.
From the J-STEM Academy, Courtney Toppin. From the Judson Learning Academy, Brad Kessler. Go right over there and shake their hands. From Wagner High School, Daniela Garcia. Thank you for being here. Also from Wagner High School, Jamia Smith. Thank you. From Judson Early College Academy, Guadalupe Rangel. We'll give you another one. Yulisa Garcia. Thank you for being here. Sandra Garcia. Thank you. And I don't have any other names here, but we do have. Can you come by? Can you tell us who you are, please? Thank you all very much for being here, and David, you can take a picture here with him. Do we know what her name is? Thank you, everybody. Our next board recognition comes from Coronado Village Elementary. After the Recording Academy and the Grammy Foundation received some 4,500 initial nominations from across the U.S. for their Music Educator Award, the list of 25 semifinalists has been selected, and Coronado Village Elementary School teacher Bonnie Anderson is on that list. Now, the 10 finalists will be announced in December and will all receive a $1,000 honorarium complete with matching grants for the school. The big winner will attend the Grammy Awards ceremony, be announced, and receive a $10,000 prize. So congratulations to Miss Anderson. Now, our next recognition comes from the Judson ISD Energy Management Department. Mr. David Ayler and the Energy Management Department are being presented with rebate checks from Mr. Joe Jones from CPS Energy. If you gentlemen would come on up. Got some big checks here. If you'll stand right up here in front here. Now, this first check consists of a combined total of funds back to the district for 6 energy saving solutions the district completed. The total check is for $160,000, $513. Now, those projects included Copperfield indoor lighting, Copperfield outdoor lighting, the Copperfield chillers, Park Village chiller, the Performing Arts Center band practice lighting, and Kitty Hawk locker room lighting. So that did quite a bit of work there in the process. Now, the second check that you see here is for the participation in the CPS Energy Demand Response Program. That is when the city's utility grid is at peak usage and CPS requests their customers to reduce energy usage. This year, the district saw a 45% cut from last year's use, so the CPS folks are giving us a response check amounting to $203,397. Now, our next recognition comes from Crestview Elementary School. Reward schools are identified from accountability test results in two categories: high performance and high progress. Crestview Elementary received both distinctions for their 2014-2015 academic achievement. Crestview Principal Yvonne Munoz is here to represent her staff and students and receive a recognition of achievement. You thought you were done. Now, our next recognition comes from the Transportation Department. Mr. Blas Rodriguez Jr. has been recognized by the Texas Association for Pupil Transportation and awarded the designation of Certified Pupil Transportation Trainer. Mr. Davenport, if you would come forward here, he's the Director of Transportation, is going to present a framed certificate. Mr. Rodriguez had to complete a specific number of classes presented by TAPT and completed the Train the Trainer program. Mr. Rodriguez is the first individual in the Judson ISD Transportation Department to be awarded this certificate. So congratulations, Mr. Rodriguez. Mr. Rodriguez also has a number of supporters back here in the red shirts that are very proud of him as well. Next, you likely know that the Judson ISD just completed its annual United Way campaign, and Mr. David Schranz with United Way is here to present some exceptional participation awards.
Thank you, sir. And again, thank you to the Judson ISD because y'all did a marvelous job as you do every year. So we'll start with Candlewood Elementary, Barbetta Frazier. Is Barbetta here? All right. Suzanne Taylor with Crestview Elementary. Chad Day with Hopkins Elementary. Maria Harris with Masters Elementary. And Regina Rancour, also with Masters. Susan McElhenney from Millers Point. Barbara Carter from Park Village. And Tanya Rivera Casero also from Park Village. Donna Worthy from Paschal Elementary. Cora Beth Schmidt from Spring Meadows. Walter Harcourt and Ricky Bethele Day from Judson High School. And then you will get the photo. From Wagner High School, we have Scott Wilson. From Mackey High School, Yoli Freyert. JSAS, Dolores Ovale. Kitty Hawk Middle School, we have Kristen Rumsfeld and Sarah Gilreath. From Metzger Middle School, we have Paula Applegate and Sharon Coker. Woodlakes Hills, we had Sarah Donald. And from the Child Nutrition Department, we had Lynette Trevino. From Maintenance, Patty Connor. From Transportation, we had Norma Fernandez. And from Park Village Elementary, we had, this is the Travis Award. So whoever the Park Village representative.
Yes,
Patty, all right. All right, so is there a representative here from Parkville? All right. They get And then from the Metzger Middle School, we had the Star Award. So who's the representative from Metzger, if they would come forward? All right, yay. Yeah. And although they did very well, we have some other awards that are going to show. For the police department, we had the highest per capita, and then the Travis Award, and then the certificates for Diane Davidson and for Teresa Ramon. So if they would come forward. From JSTEM, we have their certificate and also their highest contribution increase. So theirs went up a good bit. So who's the Adriana Pettis? All right. And standing right next to me is Lexi Greathouse, because the highest overall contribution went to JISD administration. There we go, Lexi. All right, we have the appreciation award to Hartman Elementary for the highest JEF contribution. So Hartman, I'll let you give it to her. Hey, thank you so much. All right, for the police department, we also have 98 to 100% giving. So in other words, 98 to 100% of their employees gave to United Way or to the combined school campaign. Thank you so much. Also, 98 to 100% of the folks at Converse Elementary gave. So, Sylvia Duarte. And from Copperfield, again, 98 to 100%. So you were way up there. Thank you, Kathleen Pruitt. From Coronado Village, Esmeralda Fabella. 98 to 100% giving. Ed Franz, they got the Travis Award and 98 to 100% charitable giving. Sherilyn DeHogue. Thank you, yeah. Okay, we had a certificate for 2 individuals from Elof Elementary. That's Sean Beach and Cynthia Keeler, and they were also at 98 to 100% of their folks giving. Hartman Elementary, we had Stacy Vargo and Hilda Pena, and they were at 98 to 100% giving, so thank you. Olympia Elementary, Joanne Hardy, 98 to 100% giving, right on. Rolling Meadows Elementary, Daleen Hendon and Allison Sproles, 98 to 100%. The Salinas Elementary School got the Travis Award, and they were also at 98 to 100% giving. Janet Hudson was their champion. Thank you so much. Okay. Okay, at Woodlake Elementary, we had 2 individuals, Sue Carter and Denise Hastings. They got the Travis Award, and they were also at 98 to 100% giving. Thank you. The J-STEM Academy was also at 98 to 100% giving. That's awesome. J-STEM. Judson Middle School got the Travis Award, 98 to 100% giving, and the representatives were Sharon Cruz and Helen Miller. Kirby Middle School got the 98 to 100% giving. They also got a Travis Award, and their representatives were Michael Barkley and Jorge Garza. All right. From the Judson Early College Academy, again, another 98 to 100% giving, and the campus champion was Eric Botello. And from the last one, which also got 98 to 100%, was the JLA, the Judson Learning Academy, and Dr. Rode Rowland is their representative. So in closing, I just want to again thank Judson for all the campuses, all the departments, for what y'all do and your generosity and your giving. You are a model for a lot of the other school districts, and we frequently raise up, look what Judson's doing, you know, and trying to get them to give more. So again, thank you so much.
Now, the fun is not over yet because we had one department that reached 100%, and that was the police department. So they're getting a complimentary breakfast from the Judson Education Foundation. And because they're police, men and women, we know they love donuts. So that's definitely a choice. Or a bagel breakfast. Don't even tell me.
There is no crime before taco time. So that's what we want. Tacos, not donuts.
Well, I've never gotten booed here. Okay. And then for those that received the awards for 98 to 100% of giving, we actually are doing a drawing for a $1,000 incentive grant for them to use at their campus, and we're going to have Mr. Flores draw the name of that campus.
Jason Academy.
Got my boob. Jeez, this is funny.
We have one more recognition, but this is really not a recognition, but it's more or less a show and tell. We have Judson High School student Jerry Villarreal, who is a veteran marching band member, to show you what a member of the future Patriot Band program might look like. Although this is connected with an agenda item further on down the list, we wanted to be considerate of the students' time tonight and show it to you now. This is the prototype. Come on out. This is the prototype uniform created by Fred J. Miller Incorporated, the same company that designed band uniforms for Judson and Wagner. The design was a product of the combined efforts of Mr. Keith Witt and Christina Clark and is based on the color palette chosen by the school board. This is being submitted for board approval, I should say, so the uniforms can be ready for the beginning of the 2016-2017 school year. All right, and those are our board recognitions for this evening. Thank you.
As I stated earlier, this is a meeting in public, a business meeting that we have to get things done. And in order to get things done, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to consideration of consent items and then the action items, and then have citizens to be heard before our discussion items.
I object.
Okay.
No, I object.
Okay. You object?
So we're going to go ahead and have citizens to be heard. You need, by parliamentary procedure, you need to have a consensus of the board.
No.
Yes, yes.
Items do
Robert
not
Rules
have
of
to be
Order,
taken in
you
the
need a
same
consensus
order.
of the
Items
board.
do not have to be taken in the
Hey,
same
this is
order
the
that they're
democratic
here.
process. You're not the king, so
I'm
let
not
the
saying I'm
citizens
the
speak.
king, but this is a business meeting.
It says citizens to be heard. Let them be heard first. If you're going to suspend the rules, there needs to be a consensus from this board, and that's what you're doing.
We're just trying to get the business
I
part
appreciate
over.
it. This is business.
No, there is nothing on here that is on the agenda that we are voting on.
The citizens are why we're here. This is
Mr.
business.
LaFoyle.
That's right, citizens of the students.
We have something, hold up. It says, the subject to discuss, considered upon, of which any formal action be taken are listed below. The items do not have to be taken in the same order shown on this meeting notice, unless removed from a consented item agenda identified within the consented agenda will be acted on one at a time.
And in essence,
Not-
that's suspending the rules. And when you do
That is
that,
not suspending
when
the
you're
rules.
doing that, when you're suspending the rules of the agenda, you're suspending the rules. There needs to be a consensus from this board. Consensus of the board. That's parliamentary procedure.
You don't take action on citizens to be heard.
You don't take action on
Let the
citizens to be
citizens
heard.
speak. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. Good. All right. Huh? We don't vote on it, it's consensus, yeah. Mhm. So, ma'am.
Read it. The order of business of the regular board meeting shall be set in the agenda accompanying the notice of the meeting. At the meeting, the order in which posted agenda items are taken may be changed by consensus of board members.
Okay. Okay, Mr. Macias. You want a consensus?
I'd like a consensus. If
Okay.
you want to suspend the rules from the agenda, I'm only one board member.
Right.
If the rest of the board
I would
wants
like
to do it.
just to get this going, and then we will have citizens to be heard.
Well, if the consensus of my colleagues agree, but I don't think you have a consensus of my colleagues that agree with that. Again, if I'm the only one that wants citizens to be heard first, then by all means, I'm bow to the will of the board.
Okay.
But I don't think that's the case. Citizens to be heard by the agenda needs to happen first.
I'll just ask you, Mr. LaFoille, do you agree that we should suspend the rules?
Yes.
Dr. Salinas?
No.
Mr. Salinas?
No.
Ms. Pashal?
Yes.
And I say yes. So being a tie, we just go back to the way it is, okay? I mean, that, okay. Now, that being said, this time is provided for citizens to address the board on issues or concerns. A person may speak one time for a period of 3 minutes. Presentations shall be informative only. No board action will be taken. A complaint or charge against an officer or employee or board member of the district is not allowed in open session. Complaints and concerns for which other resolution channels are provided shall be directed through those channels. The presiding officer will determine whether a person who wishes to address the board has attempted to solve a matter administratively. If not, the person shall be directed to the appropriate policy to seek resolution before bringing the matter to the board at a subsequent meeting. Citizens wishing to receive a response from concerns presented to the board must provide written documentation. The board shall not deliberate or decide regarding any subject that is not included on the agenda posted with notice of the meeting. As stated, you have 3 minutes. I will start the clock. I will let you know when there's 1 minute left. If you continue to go on after that, I will consider it a disruption of the meeting and ask our officer to escort you back to your seat. You have 3 minutes.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
may I correct that, sir?
What?
The first group was given, take as much time as you want to. Why do we have two different rules? Just because now we have another group that wants to speak. The other ones were told, you can take as much time as you want to, and some of them took 7 minutes, 10 minutes. Why are we differentiating? I don't believe that if they're going to speak, sir, that they're going to take advantage of that. So we need to make sure if it's good for one group, it's good for the other group. Thank you.
The policies say they're speaking for 3 minutes, and we're going to go by that. I wasn't in charge of the meeting last time when they did that. So you may speak for 3 minutes, once only per meeting. So we'll start first. Reginald Walker. Agenda item is invitation to gift and talented fair.
Good evening. My name is Reginald Walker. I'm the tag coordinator for Judson High School. This is Mr. Dominguez, one of the tag teachers, and Kaylin Hines, one of the tag students. The Gifted and Talent Program, we're conducting a tag fair, our first semi-annual tag fair on December 16th at 9:30 through 3:15 in the small gym. TAG is a way of thinking and finding connections. Come see how your students find those connections. It's an invitation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Okay, I'll recognize mine. Okay, let me put this back. It's been a while since we've messed with this here. Select all. With a reset. Yeah, I've got it here. Here we go. Okay, Miss Dawn Parsley Johnson, renaming of the high school.
Unlike Board President Sawyer's assertion in his September letter to the community, names, just as words, do matter. And with the Judson Independent School District, schools should be named in honor of those individuals who have made a significant, lasting, and positive contribution to the district and the community. I can think of no one more deserving to have the next high school named after them than Mr. Eddie Parsley. Mr. Parsley served as a principal in JISD for nearly 30 years, from 1974 through 2001. He oversaw the transformation of Converse Judson from a small high school on the outskirts of San Antonio to an academic and athletic powerhouse in its own right. He was principal of Judson High School for 16 years, and prior to that, he was principal at both Kirby and Kitty Hawk Middle Schools. He was a visionary and a leader, and he believed in the ability of all of his students to achieve, regardless of their backgrounds. He was a unifying presence, and his door was open to everyone, brown, black, or white, rich or poor. He deeply believed in Judson and all that it represented. He was Judson. Mr. Parsley believed in Judson students, and they believed in him. Teachers and students alike found him to be tough but fair. His primary concern was always what was in the best interest of his students, and every decision he made was done with the students' best interest in mind. For the advanced students, Mr. Parsley introduced the International Baccalaureate program in dual credit courses. For those students interested in music and theater, it was he who was instrumental in the creation, construction, design, and development of the Performing Arts Center. For those students who were struggling, he did away with classes that were being taught below grade level, and he replaced them with smaller classes to bring students up to grade level. He implemented summer academics for those mainly minority incoming students who were struggling academically in order to allow them to pass math, science, and English, and thereby complete trigonometry and calculus during their high school career. So much so that during his tenure, Judson was cited by the College Board for achievement of minority takers of the SAT exam. Eddie Parsley strived to bring this community together, and he helped the students to stand tall and believe in themselves. He is a humble and honorable man who has never sought the spotlight, and he is too decent to involve himself in the messy political dealings of what this community has witnessed from this school board these past few months. Whether or not you name this school after him does not define him, but it will define you. The people here today in support of him and the students and teachers whose lives he touched, they define his legacy. To borrow a phrase, he believed in rocket pride. I submit to you that others may be recognized and honored at a later date, but when it comes to naming the next high school in the Judson Independent School District, there simply is no one more deserving than Thomas Edward Parsley.
Amy Nixon.
I have emailed all the school board, the superintendent, and I want to thank Mr. Salinas, Dr. Salinas, and Mr. Macias for responding to me. None of the others ever bothered to. This is a very important issue with the school district. As of Tuesday morning at 9 o'clock, 2,386 people signed a petition to have the school renamed. We have been talking to several of our students that we went to school with, just to give you a few of the responses. William Burke Jr., previous graduate from Judson High School. He shaped and pointed me in all the right directions through junior high and high school. Clinton Dodson, this man deserves it. I was, to say it politely, a bad kid all the way through school, yet he never gave up on me and would always listen and take the time to show me a better way. Mr. Parsley has made such a difference in the lives of all of his students, teachers, staff, members, teams, parents, and our Rocket Pride community. Angelina Messer, previous student, I still remember my first day at Kitty Hawk. I came from a small town in LaGrange and was overwhelmed with the size of the school and the kids. Mr. Parsley placed his arm around me and said, "I promise it will be okay. We will do this together." Much to my surprise, he pulled my little sister and I out of class right before lunch. He purchased our lunch and we ate in his office with his office staff, just because he didn't want us to be alone. I will never forget that first day of school. How many principals do you know this day and age that would do that?
Thank you, ma'am. Christy Meyer.
I am here to talk to you all about my disappointment and anger that the board chose to name the new high school after Willis Mackey, as well as Mr. Sawyer's actions over the last couple of weeks. I'm a retired school counselor after working 27 years in education, with the last 19 being in Judson. I came to Judson in 1996 when Dr. Eloff was still the superintendent. The staff and faculty were happy and proud to work in Judson. The morale was high, and even after Dr. Eloff retired, morale was still good. In the years following his retirement, there was a revolving door of superintendents, which did not help morale. However, when the board hired Mackey, morale sank to an all-time low. Nothing could have prepared us for the likes of him. At the last board meeting, we all saw the buyout contract. The board agreed to pay Mackey more than $218,000 for the term of 1 year ending in June 2016. This contract was signed in June of 2014. If the board was so desperate to get rid of Mackey that they would pay him more than $200,000 not to work in Judson, why on earth would you consider naming a school after him? Mr. Sawyer notified Mr. Salinas and Mr. Macias that he was denying their request to discuss rescinding the name of the new high school for tonight's agenda. It is blatantly obvious that Mr. Sawyer does not want to listen to or address the legitimate concerns of the Judson employees, the Judson community, and the taxpayers of this district. This is clearly a tactic to further his own personal agenda, as opposed to doing what is right for the district. According to the Judson Board policy, under the section on board meetings and the subsection on preparation, it states, "In reviewing the preliminary agenda, the president shall ensure that any topics the board or individual trustees have requested to be addressed are either on that agenda or scheduled for deliberation at an appropriate time in the near future. The board president shall not have authority to remove from the agenda a subject requested by the trustee without the trustee's specific authorization." In deliberate defiance of board policy, Sawyer denied the requested items be added to the agenda. The policy states the discussion should be scheduled for deliberation at an appropriate time in the near future. I do not believe a date has been set for that discussion or deliberation. As far as I'm concerned, the near future is as soon as Mr. Sawyer returns from vacation. The board needs to take action on the following items. Immediately call a special meeting to formally discuss the name of the new high school and rescind the prior vote on naming the high school after Mackey. And to number 2, stop branding of the new high school until further notice.
Rick Page.
Good evening. My name is Rick Page. I am a business owner here in the Judson Independent School District and also a resident here in the Judson Independent School District. I want to point out one thing here today, that I am not for the new naming of the high school for Dr. Mackey, okay? I felt that the board really rushed into this naming and this voting when no one was listening to the people. The people are what puts everyone here. I ran for District 1 against Salyer. I got 49% of the vote. But I believe now that people that live in District 1, where our new high school is going to be built at, realizes that Salyer's not there for them. And he doesn't have their interest. He does not have their interest in hand. So I just want to point this out. I feel that there are numerous candidates, and I'm not going to stand here and start naming names, because there's a lot of good people out there that this brand new high school can be named of. But I just want to point that out. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ken Lucas. No, we don't start till you start talking.
Okay, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Honorable members of the JISD, thank you for your time. Thank you for the opportunity for me to speak. Prior to coming here, I wanted to ask if there was a parliamentary inquiry on the 3-minute time limit. I believe Member Macias brought that up. And I do believe that, Mr. Salinas, thank you very much for your points, and the fact that if you're going to have one rule for one meeting, it should be for all. Number two, another parliamentary inquiry. This is a democratically elected functioning body. I do believe that is correct, is it not? You don't have to answer that, I know that already. So then I would ask that at some point, that you look around this room and you see who is actually in attendance. It's a packed room. It's my first time here. Never been here. But let me tell you a little bit about me. I went to Kitty Hawk. I was a graduate of Judson, class of 1988. I would say that, oh, wow, seems like a long time ago, doesn't it? But anyways, I was a state finalist. We were a state championship that year. Yeah, there we go. That was a rough year. But the good thing is looking back in each one of your bios, I do believe that you all were either afforded the opportunity or were there to watch all of that. You watched Judson become what it is. Excuse me. I'm also I was a 15-year Marine Corps officer, a combat veteran. I was also I'm also a two-time elected was a two-time elected councilman in North Carolina. So I know procedure. So I'm about to depart from procedure a bit, and I'm not going to talk about the naming of the new high school.
1 minute.
Board Member Salyer is absent tonight. Conveniently, he's scheduled a vacation during what I would say is one of the most tumultuous times in the Judson Independent School District. I'll cut to the chase right here. In the Marine Corps, we don't call that a convenience. We call that being a coward. Every single day for 10 days, I emailed y'all. Thank you very much for the three that responded back to me. Let me point out another individual. And I would say this, and I say this because this is going to be very difficult for me to say. Member Purcell, your dad. The hey man in his chant, I heard that on the field. And in that chant, it said, let's win this game to save our name from disgrace and shame. What you all have done to this point is disgrace and shame. This is a democracy,
Sir,
not a monarchy. King
your 3
Sailor
minutes are up, sir.
is not here.
Thank you.
No, wait a minute. Hold on a second.
No,
Let me
no,
thank you for
3
your
minutes
time.
are up. Thank you. All right.
Appreciate it.
Cindy Green Lucas.
I'd like to defer my time to Mr. Lucas so he can continue with his speech,
Almost done. I believe there was promulgated around an Exhibit A, a public complaint. I will like to file this with the clerk or whoever is appropriate, and that's the public complaint form for a level 1 against President Salyer for the fact that, one, I would like to see the removal of Steve Salyer as board president, and I would like to place an item on the board agenda. I'd like to place an item on the board agenda to rename the new high school in the near future, as already pointed out previously. As I was saying prior to my cutoff, Member Salyer is not a king, and this is not a monarchy. Yet he thinks he can unilaterally make these decisions. This is a board for that purpose and is to represent democracy. Member Macias, thank you for your service. Member LaFoyle, thank you for your service. But it is very disheartening that I have to say that, Member LaFoyle, I'm ashamed that you let this absurdity continue when you yourself raised your hand to defend the Constitution of the United States, just like I did. Examples of being a king and the king mentality and actions are removing a very item from the agenda, although local and Robert rules say otherwise. As long as a member who opposed and a member who agreed say that it needs to go back on the agenda, you all have no bearing to say no, period. That's a king mentality. Sailor said no. Another one is Member Macias has asked for several other items to be placed on the agenda to have it unilaterally shot down by King Salyer. I will not stand for that. I don't stand here and watch the name of Judson High School get trampled. And I certainly don't stand here to have democracy trounced down. I'm not going to have it smeared by anyone else. So in closing, I will ask at some point that the members take a motion to appeal the decision of the chair, not you, Mr. Flores, that would be Member Salyer, to appeal the decision of the chair and add the matter of renaming the high school to a future agenda, publicly announcing a plan for deciding the name which is approved by the majority vote of this board, and then voted on once and for all and done the right way, and that's with public opinion. I think I can do this in 25 seconds, and I'll leave you with this. Leaders are not known for their inactions, but are always remembered for their actions. So I'll ask each of you, what are you, a leader or not? Thank you.
Leslie Wilson Riedel.
My name is Leslie Wilson Riddell, a graduate of the class of '89. I've always been proud to be a Rocket, but the actions being taken by this board to name the new high school after Maskey is disgraceful and makes me ashamed, and it hurts my heart. This issue is not about race, as I have heard some infer, and I'm deeply offended by that. Mike Jinks, Vincent Kyle, Dewey Gray were fellow beloved classmates. Not to mention our beloved Hey Man, Mr. Pascal. Wonderful, wonderful, loving man who is will forever be in my heart. This is about the naming of a high school for someone who is wholeheartedly deserving. Mackey is not one of those. Ed Parsley, as previously mentioned. Bonnie Schultz, aka Mama Schultz, who is loved by tens of thousands of students, not to mention staff. People like D.W. Rutledge and Frank Arnold, who were responsible for putting Converse on the map and making Judson a household name. I implore you all to reconsider your vote, especially if you value your seats, as I can guarantee you, you won't be sitting in them come next election term. That's not a fact. That's not a threat, that's a fact. This issue will not go away, and we stand united against the naming of Mackey High School. Thank you.
Kay Shoemake.
Good evening. My name is Kay Shoemake. I'm a 20-year homeowner in the Judson Independent School District. I have 2 children that have attended. When I first learned about the choice of the naming of the high school, I was appalled. I immediately signed that petition. And although Mr. Salyer's not here tonight, I would like him to know that I was offended at his demeaning statement about sitting at home in your pajamas. I was not in my pajamas. The reason for my opposition of this decision was based on my many years of interactions with teachers, many who had expressed to me the way that that man had treated them. And I know that many of them transferred or retired early as a cause of that. When I learned that that decision was final, according to the board, I found this very disheartening. 2,000 plus people had spoken to you and you did not listen. I sent several emails to the board members and I was appalled at the complete lack of response or the dismissive answers that I received from most, but not all, and it's the same 3 that responded to me as well. Amen. This only compelled me to dig deeper. Why was this decision made and why were the constituents being ignored? This led me to watch the 2-hour video. I watched it twice on October the 15th. As I was not able to attend that meeting in person because I had signed a petition, and as I've always learned, that petition spoke my voice for me when I couldn't be here. Not for this board, okay? But I watched my fellow residents, other students, teachers speak, and what struck me was the passion that every one of them spoke for in regards to how they were treated by that man. And you know what? When I heard those words, it was worse than I could have even imagined. I was appalled at the way that that person spoke to these people. It was unconscionable to me. This board should be ashamed.
1 minute.
I am not an advocate of the power of threats for my power to vote, but back to the decision of the board. I wanted all the facts, so I watched the other board meeting. The one where 5 people spoke, 4 for Mackey and 1 for someone else. It was like watching a set stage, 4 politicos with a set agenda, the 7-minute speech of a mayor who talked about all the things that a superintendent was paid to do and did as a superintendent should do. I heard nothing outstanding, nothing. There was a comment to, we owe this to him, okay? I would like to thank Mr. Montoya for being the only superintendent to attend an FFA banquet. There was a comment made about Mr. Mackey's support to that. Well, Mr. Montoya, thank you for attending. The reason you didn't have a good attendance at that meeting was because none of us dreamed that this could ever happen. That's why, all right? But you hear us now. You have an opportunity to change your decision and do the right thing. Thank you.
Leanne Ferguson.
I'm Leanne Ferguson, and I live in the Judson Independent School District. I am alumni of Judson High School, class of 19. And I also want to let you know, I love my New Orleans Saints. Okay? Hey. I love them, and on good times and bad times, whether they win or lose. And I'm in a couple of football pools, all right? But listen up here. For the achievement of winning the football pool, I don't always pick my saints. Instead, I try to make the best calculated, logical pick. I try not to bet purely on emotional loyalties. I try to pick what will be the most beneficial. Which pick will behoove me? Which pick is the winner? I think this also holds true in the naming of the new high school in Judson Independent School District. This school needs to be named after someone who has a record of excellence, endurance, someone who represents loyalty and inspiration. This name needs to be based on what the community wants, not the personal choosing of individual school board members who are elected by the Judson Independent School District community. This school name is going to represent the persona of the students in our community. These school board members need to listen to what their community wants for the new high school. Pick a name that's a winner. Hey, again, I love my Saints, and I always will. Forgive me. I know they can't always win the Super Bowl, so I'm picking the Patriots over the Saints this year.
1 minute.
I also pick a more deserving name for the new Judson Independent High School, and that pick is currently not the chosen name of Mackey. And I'd like everybody who'd like change to stand up, please. Stand. Please stand. Thank you. Thank you, school board.
Kimberly Aldrich.
Good evening, board members. I am here again to speak to you about the naming of the new high school. But first, I would like to address something that I heard over and over at the last board meeting. And this is for everyone in this room. Please don't be so quick to say, I'm not voting for another bond election if you don't change the name. If it's good for the district and if it benefits our kids, you need to think about it. Use your brain. The storm that has been brewing about the name that was chosen for this school has turned into an ugly storm. Our district has a no bullying policy. And with this name going through, what are we teaching our kids? Recently, I know that Wagner High School lost a cheerleader due to bullying. Her parents moved her to Judson. What are we doing with bullying, people? If I were Dr. Mackey, I would have asked the board to withdraw my name due to all of the negativity that it has created. But I guess he is just too proud of something or just plain ignorant. Some of you on the board are sitting in your chairs not caring or for anything that any of us has to say. You give attitudes that you are going to do what you want, when you want, regardless of what the people want. Shame on you. If you did care, you would be speaking with the community about the name of the new school. In my opinion, you need to take your heads out of the sand and open up your eyes. I would like to know how Mr. Sawyer I would like to know how he was the sole decision maker of what to allow and what to deny on the agenda meetings. Does he speak for the decision of the entire board? I don't think so. The board members that want the name to go through, you are hiding behind Mr. Sawyer. I know what Sawyer is doing. He thinks that if he keeps this off the agenda, people will lose interest in the issue and the issue will die. To him, problem solved. I don't think so. As I told you in the last couple of meetings, I'm not going anywhere. I'm here, and I'll be here next month too. Citizens in the room, May of 2017 will be here before you know it. You have a voice. Let it be heard. Because these board members are not listening. Thank you.
Cindy Ambrose.
Hi, y'all. Like many previous and current employees, I also had the privilege of observing Dr. Mackey when he bullied his administration. And I'm assuming that's why both Salinas didn't even vote, because they also had observed the bullying behavior that Mackey portrayed. And a leader does not go by fear and instilling fear in others to get them to work. It's about motivating them and encouraging them instead of putting them down and belittling them in front of their peers. And the fact that he wasn't even one of the top 5 makes no sense to me, that y'all would even consider naming the school after him. And then the fact that he took money to retire. This man sat where Dr. Montoya's at. He knows the needs of this district. He could have said no to this severance packet that he got. There's plenty of CEOs that have done that. Those are the men or people with integrity. He knows the needs we have here, that our students need, the teachers need. And he's still getting paid. And y'all had, not everybody, but had the audacity to name a school after this man, who clearly does not care about the needs of this district or its citizens. Because like somebody else said, he could have said, no, I don't want to do this. It's splitting up the community. And he hasn't done that. He knows what's going on, because he's got several of you all drinking the same water. And you know, what are you afraid of? Put it on the agenda. More than likely, those of you drinking his water are probably going to win again. But at least appease us and put it on the agenda for others to vote again. I mean, what are you afraid of? Put it on the damn agenda. Thank you.
Suzanne Canoyer.
Thanks for saying my name correctly.
You're welcome.
I had planned to be here tonight to urge you to pay attention to your constituents in the matter of renaming the new high school. I expected to see that item on tonight's agenda since both Mr. Macias and Mr. Salinas requested it. What a slap in the face to the citizens of this district and the other board members. One wonders what hold Dr. Mackey has on Mr. Sawyer. Did Mackey contribute to his campaign? Not illegal, but not ethical either. Did Mackey help him cover up something unsavory? Lots of people have been telling me what they know. Why did Sawyer have to waste district money, somewhere around $1,000, by lawyer shopping for someone to help him figure out a way to bury this issue? Isn't the money we are paying for 2 superintendents a big enough waste of taxpayer funds? What contracts have been signed or administrative actions taken that can't be rescinded? I doubt there are any. Sawyer is simply grasping for straws in an effort to fulfill whatever promise he made to Mackey. Dr. Mackey's leaving was portrayed by the district as a retirement. That simply is not the truth. The document signed between Mackey and the board is titled Resignation Agreement. The lack of transparency there raises the suspicion that there was a pact to name the school for Mackey as part of a secret deal to make him go away, and I am even more convinced of it now. When he violated board policy by refusing to put this matter and others requested by another board member on the agenda, Mr. Sawyer made the district even more of a laughingstock in the community than it already is. Right now, there is a considerable lack of trust in this board. Mr. Sawyer's illegal actions make for even less trust. You will not get community support for a bond issue with actions like these. I don't think most of you on the board understand that the employees of this district are the people who are most against the name for the school. Teachers have a very long reach, and constituents pay attention to what they say. I have filed a public complaint against Mr. Sawyer for his actions. I have asked for the items to be placed on the agenda tonight and for Mr. Sawyer to be removed from office as president. Anyone who wants to know how they can also file a complaint can see me after the meeting. The next step will be to file in district court for removal by petition and trial as provided for in board policy for a board member who commits official misconduct and have Sawyer removed from the board completely. I am embarrassed to say that I live in his district. He certainly is not representing me. This board needs to show that it's responsive to the taxpayers it represents. You need a new board president who won't act as board dictator. Mr. Sawyer needs to resign from the board. The board needs to vote to rename this school. That is, unless Mackey steps up to do the right thing and remove his name from consideration. If Mackey were truly the honorable man his supporters claim, he wouldn't want his name on an issue that is dividing this community. An honorable man would say no, like Greg Popovich just did yesterday. I won't be holding my breath waiting for Mackey.
Thank you. Jackie Freeman.
Good evening, Board of Trustees, Dr. Montoya, and my fellow Judson citizen taxpayers. I thank you for the opportunity to speak to you all tonight again. I come before you again tonight, the trustees of the Judson School Board, asking you to reconsider the name given to the new high school on Evans Road. This issue is very controversial and has divided the Judson community. This divisive issue should have been on the agenda for tonight's school board meeting, but alas, it is not. Why? Imagine my disbelief when I first read tonight's agenda Saturday evening and saw one particular item glaringly missing. Yes, something of the utmost importance was blatantly missing from this agenda. Or is it just buried on page 3 of tonight's agenda, section 6E, to appease us? A bold move by the Board of Trustees Presidents, Mr. Sawyer, to not place this item on the agenda tonight, but not a wise one because Mr. Sawyer is now in violation of board policy. Mr. Sawyer has now lost the trust in board trustee for this constituent, and I'm sure many others, for failing to comply with the request as dictated by school board policy. Why, Mr. Sawyer? Why would you do this? In good faith, we, the voters in this Judson ISD district, elected you, the Board of Trustees, to be our voice, and we trust you to make wise decisions on our behalf that are in the best interest of the school district and, above all, the best interests of the children. Many concerned taxpaying constituents were here in September and then again on October 15th, voicing their opinions and speaking out against the name selected for the new high school on Evans Road. They were trying to get all of the trustees to not only hear them, but to listen to them as well. 2 trustees did listen and requested the item of the renaming of the high school be placed on the agenda for tonight's meeting. So why is it missing? I am asking the Board of Trustees to not lose the trust of your constituents. Listen to the voices of your constituents when we ask you to reconsider the name of the new high school. Our voices must be heard because it is not your decision alone to make. It is a decision you must make based on the majority of your constituents who have communicated to you in good faith, and the majority have spoken loud and clear. Rename that high school on Evans Road. Thank you, and go Saints.
Candy Hale.
Good evening. You folks are in a bind, and you can blame it on, all of it on Dr. Mackey. The reasons you give for naming the new high school after him are bogus, and they are causing you major problems. Number one, you said that he was a great man, he created JECA. This couldn't be further from the truth. JECA was conceived years ago, before Mackey ever got here. I was on the committee. Also, It opened after he got here, yes, but it opened in the days when other districts were already closing their early college high schools because early college campuses because it's not cost effective. He also said that he secured the largest grant ever in Judson ISD history, a little under $3 million. Yes, it was the largest, but he didn't write it. No, a person named Camera Adams wrote that grant single-heartedly. He just merely signed it because he's the superintendent. I don't even know if he even read it, but once it came, he never gave her the credit. He took all credit for it, and he did his best to try to run her off, as many of you know. The problem here is that grant is running out next year, and if you keep running off people, you won't have anybody to write these grants. He raised the test scores. No, sir, nobody raises the test scores except the great teachers that are in Judson ISD. His answer to raising test scores was to have every student write for 10 minutes in a journal every day, every period. Do you realize how much time was wasted every day in classes for students to do that? And realize how much they really loved doing it and how well they did it. That did not do anything for raising test scores. The problem here is it's difficult to attract quality teachers. And when you're running them all off because they're watching this fiasco, everybody is watching it across the district.
1 minute.
He got the 2013 bond passed. Yes, he did. It took him 7 years because a bond passed the year before he came. It took him 7 years, and it was only $83 million, and it's only going to fund a portion of the new high school. There still has to be a new bond for an academic wing to be built, an auditorium, and athletic fields. That is not a high school. He got a bond for a middle school. And so now you have to get another bond to finish the dang thing. Well, guess what? He actually built a middle school. The problem here is nobody's going to trust you to finish that school now because you have shown that you have been Mackeyized. And now the latest of your problems is the fact that Mr. Sawyer is refusing to put the naming of the new school back on the agenda. Mr. Sawyer, even though he's not here, please listen. I don't know why you're not listening anyway, but please step down. Ms. Bashal, this is not a race issue. It might be for you, but it's not for us.
Thank
you. Mr. LaFoyle, you don't care.
Ma'am, 3 minutes are up. Thank you. Kim Blakeney.
Good evening. Thank you very much for listening to us this evening. Mr. Salinas, I didn't have the pleasure of meeting Mr. Flores, Ms. Michelle. I know your dad very well. Mr. Montoya, our new superintendent, thank you very much for an outstanding job. Dr. Salinas, Mr. LaFoyer, and Mr. Macias, thank you very much. First of all, I am a Judson alumni, class of 1975. I have raised my 4 boys and my grandchildren in the Judson Independent School District. They did move after they decided, well, we did move during the course of my raising my children, but I want to tell you and share with you some of the values that I had taught my boys, okay? My first one is honor. Honor God, honor your family, and honor your country. Integrity. Always know what you do and what you say you are accountable for. No one else is. And this is really tough because 4 boys, I'm a single mom, but they all graduated from high school. They weren't in jail. They are serving their country. I have 2 teachers, one ex-Navy pilot after 12 years is a wounded warrior, and the other is a foot doctor out in the medical center, and I am so proud of them. Thank you. Now, this isn't about me and how I raised my boys. This is about lessons being taught. I am very disappointed Mr. Sawyer is not here. I do thank you for the, well, not open forum, but for listening to us, because You didn't really have to. Mr. Sawyer, I know, I got a minute. Mr. Sawyer, in his email responding back to me, was out of line, out of order. He blamed 4 of you members, and I'm not going to name anyone. He blamed 4 of you going behind his back, all right? Mr. Flores, I'm sorry, sir, but your response to my email, you named 2. I don't really care. All I know is my whole purpose this evening is to ask you, board members, please put this on the agenda. Remove Mr. Sawyer as president, and let's reorganize this board, please. Let's have somebody who is going to be accountable and who's going to stand up for what we want, what we've taught our kids, serving our country, some of them not returning. Mr. LaFoya, you're a military man. Our community is military. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Somebody's phone. Somebody left their phone. Just leave it here.
Taja Coleman.
I spoke at the last board meeting on the issue of the naming of the new high school. Some say that this is about race. Well, I tell you as a proud black woman that I still strongly stand against the decision to name the school after Dr. Mackey. I gave my reasons at the last meeting, and I will not spend my time tonight going over them again. This issue is clearly divisive to our community. We have presented several other suggestions that I'm sure would be warmly received by all, but we have been shut down time and again. For me, this issue goes beyond the name of the school. I am disheartened by the reactions I witnessed from this board at the last meeting. Let me remind you that as trustees, you serve this community. It is your responsibility to listen to us, to take our concerns to heart, and to represent us to the fullest extent possible. I am grateful to those who have taken this responsibility seriously. Some of you have listened and even changed your minds when confronted with the backlash. Others have remained steadfast. I have emailed President Sawyer regarding his rejection of the naming board item that was presented by other trustees and received no response. This appears to be a clear violation of school board policy. Furthermore, he has utilized the school board legal team in his efforts to stifle the voices of our community on this issue and refused to discuss that action in this meeting. It is quite frankly insulting for Dr. Sawyer to use the legal team paid for with our tax dollars against us. We want answers. What is Mr. Sawyer discussing with the legal team that we pay for? What action has been taken such that we cannot bring the naming back to the agenda? Mr. Sawyer refuses to answer us, and we will not stand for it. I cannot support denying upcoming bond measures for the students, but I will wholeheartedly support removing any trustees who refuse to work with the community. I feel that Mr. Sawyer sees us as adversaries, rather than the constituents he purports to represent. I believe he holds personal interests in higher regard than those of this community. That is a big mistake. The Judson ISD community is strong. We will not take this lying down, and I will personally do anything in my power to ensure that trustees who refuse to serve us will be removed on the next election. Some may construe that as a threat. I can't change that. Just know that you have no natural right to the seats that you occupy. In your capacity as trustees, you are expected to put aside personal biases and act in the best interest of your constituents. That is your job. If you can't do that job, then I promise we will find someone who can.
Phyllis Scribano.
Thank you for letting me speak. I would like to address the issue of Dr. Mackey getting a school named after him. I don't know how you pay someone to go away and then name a school after them. How does that work? That makes absolutely no sense. Last time, Ms. McGee was accused of a threat, an open threat, in this room, you want to be threatened to work for Dr. Mackey. When I got here, I worked at Judson. It was the most wonderful place I had ever been. I worked for Northside, I worked for Shirt Cibolo. Judson was a dream come true. Everyone worked cooperatively, out of their own hearts. They stayed after to help kids. They weren't told they had to stay after. They did it because they wanted to. Everybody, vocational, academic, we all worked together. Dr. Mackey got here, and the first thing he did, very first thing he did, got up on stage and insulted our principal. Not that I liked our principal very much, not that anybody really did, but he insulted him to our faces, undermining his authority. We may not have liked him, but he was ours. He was ours, okay? You don't come into my house and insult my boss. That is bullying, it's mean-spirited, and that is not the example that we need to set to name a school, an honor of a school after him. Lieutenant Colonel Karen J. Wagner, amen. Can I get an amen here? It's not a race issue. She's as black as anybody else that we've nominated, apparently. This woman died for our country. She was a black woman in the 80s going into the military. She's my age. Can you imagine how hard that was? And then she died for our country. And what a shame, what a disgusting shame to name a school after someone who is such a bully. And talking about prissy white women and Jew boy and Paco, he's also a racist and a sexist. So if you feel good enough about that to keep his name in there, then I hope you can live with yourself. Thank you.
Jennifer Felty.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for allowing me to speak. School boards are elected to ensure that the schools in the community are governed and operated properly, both fiscally and academically. Since school districts rely on public funding, school boards are accountable to the public for how they spend district funds. District funds have been wasted by paying former Superintendent Mackey at the same time as our new superintendent, Dr. Montoya. Now we find out that our board president has a separate agenda and has wasted $1,000 of taxpayer money for lawyer fees. He is attempting to ignore the requests of board members Mr. Macias and Mr. Salinas to put the renaming of the high school back on the board agenda, and he's not even present tonight. Under community input on the Judson website, and I read that Judson website a lot, I scan it a lot, it says, through my elected officials, I have a voice in the decision-making process because I offer a unique glimpse into community needs and interests. If this is true, then I need the school board to listen to my voice and the 2,400 signatures on change.org, the emails to the board members and the superintendent, the articles in the Express News and the Northeast Herald. Put the item back on the agenda to rename the new high school on Evans Road. An excellent choice would be Thomas E. Parsley High School or Evans High School, with the mascot name of the Patriots. Out of 108 comments on the J-blog on the Judson website, only 4 support the current name. One of the goals of the district is to improve communication with all stakeholders to increase and enhance community engagement. This naming issue certainly has increased community engagement. We're engaged. But it has not improved the communication skills. In Mr. Sawyer's letter, he asked us to address the board, and he apologized for any misunderstandings. The community is expecting more than an apology. I spoke at the October 15 meeting and listened to Mr. Macias asked to put the item back on the agenda. Dr. Montoya, one of your 2015-2016 superintendent goals is to raise stakeholder involvement and awareness. You and Mr. Sawyer put the items on the board agenda. So please put back on the agenda the renaming of the new high school on a special board meeting in November. Judson taxpayers do not want to wait until December and then hear an excuse that the money has already been used on branding the new school. We do not want to hear that. Names do matter, and future students need a name they can respect. Thank you.
April Myers.
Good evening. This is my first time to speak. I had to miss the last one. My concern tonight is, of course, with the issue of Dr. Mackey being given this honor. And I wanted to really look the school board members in the eye, and I wanted y'all to look the citizens of this district in the eye and feel in good conscience that you can really follow through with that decision, knowing how everyone feels. And trust me, this is just the tip of the iceberg. We may have 2,300 plus signatures on a petition, but trust me, it is the tip of the iceberg. Am I right? Yes. I want you to think back, and I'm speaking to the three that are here, as Mr. Salyer is not here, and I was very disappointed because I wanted to speak with him as well. I want you three that are really passionate about naming this school, Dr. Mackey, to think back about your own election when you were actually voted in. I would venture to guess that not any of you, may be wrong, and if I'm wrong, I'll stand corrected, but I would venture to guess that not one of you garnered as many as 2,300 votes. Some of you may have been elected by 500 or 600 votes. So why would you think that it's okay not to listen to voices that are respectfully, for the most part, telling you this is what needs to happen? You should be a voice of the tax-paying citizens of this district. Now, I came to this meeting tonight, and I had no intentions of speaking.
1 minute.
Hello. Okay, I've got 56 seconds. But I want to say this. I want to ask why we are paying over $17,000 a month to pay for Dr. Mackey till June of 2016. Why are we doing that? I'll tell you why. Because there was a previous board faction, and I can look you in the eye and know who you are, that voted 2 unprecedented 5-year contract term for Dr. Mackey. Shouldn't have happened. Should not have happened. We've had previous problems. I've been a member of this school district and lived here and paid taxes. My dad was an employee, my brother was an employee, and I have taught music for 30 years in this district before I retired. Yes. Now, I don't want my tax funds being spent that way.
Thank you, ma'am. William Call.
Good evening. Please excuse my voice. I've been in bed sick the last 3 days, but I thought it was very important that I come here tonight to talk about the naming of the new high school. Over the past few months, I've heard several reasons from the president of the school board and other school board members why the name of the new high school must stand. First, the name on the school doesn't really matter. It matters to over 2,300 of us that have signed petitions in the Judson Independent School District community, and those who have written letters and emails voicing their concern about this name. And again, thank you to the board members that responded. It's just interesting that they're the ones that agreed with what I was writing about. None of the ones that disagreed with me responded to me. But it does matter to us, and it matters to this community, and it's going to matter to the future graduates. Second, it would set a bad precedent for the school board to change their mind. If they did not get it right the first time, don't they have a responsibility to the community to admit they were wrong and make it right? Isn't that what we expect of our students, our teachers, and other employees? Third, it's a racial issue. That's such an untrue thought that I will not even justify it with a further comment. But I will say I am proud that Wagner High School is named after a fellow veteran, Karen Wagner, as is the whole entire community. Now it is being said by the school board president that too much money has already been spent in naming the school board, or naming the school. How much money has been spent? When was it spent?
1 minute.
I've also heard that members of the school board say they feel threatened because members of the community say they will not vote to re-elect the school board members. What do they want that do not want to address this issue? All I can say is, really? When a person runs for elected office, that is what happens. I would venture to say that some or all of you current board members became school board members because you are unhappy with what was going on the school board, and you voted against those people. That is why we have election. It is the right of every member of the community to make decisions on who they feel they will or will not vote for. I would ask that the school board readdress the name of the new high school. I would recommend naming it after Mr. Eddie Parsley, and who spent over 20 years, and I won't go into any more detail. I think you're all aware of what he has done for this school district.
Sherry Call.
Thank you for the opportunity to speak this evening. This letter is from my daughter, Emily Hepworth, who's a Judson graduate. She says, I would love to be there tonight, but unfortunately being on bed rest about to have a new baby keeps me at home. I have asked that my statement be read to the school board. I'm a 1994 graduate of Judson High School, and I love being able to call myself a rocket. I have lived in many other states, and no matter where I go, I meet people from Texas, and the number one question I'm asked is, where did you go to high school? It is with great pride that I say Converse Judson. 9 times out of 10, they know Judson, and they're in awe that I get to call Judson my alma mater. I love Judson so much that when I graduated, I worked for the Judson District as a teacher. It is because of the amazing teachers and administrators that I had at Judson that I wanted to give back. Like many other Judson alumni, I still attend Judson events whenever I can, and I have loved each and every Friday night of football season following the Rockets. I tell you all this because I want you to understand how much I love Judson and Judson Independent School District. It's that love that I have that I want every student that enters one of Judson's schools to experience. This comes through the pride that they learn and get at their schools. Rocket pride, which I have experienced, can be given to each and every student in the form of Thunderbird pride, Flyer pride, or whatever new school's pride will be. A name matters, a legacy matters, school pride matters. I love that we named Wagner after Colonel Karen Wagner and that the pride that names bring to schools. I would love to have seen us carry on that tradition and name the school after a former student or alumni who have given the ultimate sacrifice like Colonel Wagner did. It teaches the students that there is something greater out there. Since you mentioned that all of those names didn't qualify according to the rules established by the school board, then I would like to see you give this honor and privilege to someone who gave more service to the district than Dr. Mackey did. He only gave 7 years. I'm not going to question or comment about what he did in those 7 years, because I believe you all know when you've heard what he did in those 7 years. But I will say this. I think it speaks volumes about his character that through all this controversy and over 2,300 signatures asking for a change in the naming of this high school, Dr. Mackey has not asked for his name to be removed from the running. A true leader worth this honor would do just that. What I'm going to ask is that you consider renaming the new school Thomas E. Parsley High School. Mr. Parsley gave over 20 years of service to this district as a leader. He took Judson High School from a little school to the great school that I know and love. I personally had an opportunity to work with Mr. Parsley throughout my high school years. My senior year, I was student body president, and I can tell you that he cared about the students and teachers alike. His door was always open to talk. I even remember him calling me into his office once to talk about a concern he had with the school. He was at every event, and amazingly, with a school our size, about 4,000 plus, I was always amazed at how he knew individual students by name. Here is a man that is deserving of such an honor. Any student could proudly walk into Thomas E. Parsley High School with their leaders and be proud to say they are from Parsley High School. Please consider to change the name for the students' sake. Thank you.
John Coldwater.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing us to speak this evening. I'm here to ask that you all consider placing the renaming of the new high school on an upcoming board meeting. I'm a graduate, 1986, from Judson. My son Brian is a graduate of 2015, and he's doing well in his first semester in college, thankfully to the great teachers that he had in our district. And I've heard several people say that they feel that this issue has divided the community. It doesn't seem to me that the community is divided tonight. It appears that there's division among the board, which is very disappointing. I want to be able to take my son Michael, who's at Kitty Hawk today, to the new high school, and when he says, "Dad, why did we name the high school after that person?" I want to be able to tell him a great inspiring story like we can tell about Karen Wagner today. Even the story of Judson is very interesting. If he says, "Dad, why did they name it Mackey High School?" I just don't know that I'm going to have an answer for him that I could be proud of. We are so blessed to have so many wonderful teachers, administrators, coaches, nurses, cooks, bus drivers, many of whom are here tonight, that have dedicated most or all of their careers to educating our children. And I feel like it is such a miss to not recognize one of them with the honor of being named, having the new high school named after them. And I would plead with you to reconsider the opportunity that you have as a board to leave a mark on our district and not a stain. Thank you very much.
George Michaels.
This is the third time that I've spoken before the board on the new high school name. My wife and I have been Judson ISD taxpayers for the last 30 years, and we each taught and coached for over 25 years at Judson. I had two sons who played athletics and was in choir, and they both graduated from Judson. What I wanted to do was address some of the statements made by some of the board members at the end of the last board meeting. Mr. LaFoyle, you stated that you shouldn't be judged on this issue because of all the good you have done, especially in your Kirby area. Thank you. And that you didn't appreciate the threatening and bullying tactics of a few speakers. But you turned around and did the same by saying, if I want to paint that wall orange, I will paint it orange. implying that I will do what I want to do, not what the JISD community wishes. So welcome to our world of being bullied and threatened, under the former superintendent and apparently some of our school board members today. Mr. Flores, you stated that people shouldn't vote against things, but that occurs in any election, any type of venue like that. Unfortunately, Mr. Sawyer is not here. He stated, and others chimed in with him, that the board just can't bend to the wind of the new school name issue because if you or other board members change your vote, the board would lose credibility. In 2010, the board which you and some of you others here were a part of, you proposed the bond issue that was defeated by the Judson ISD voters. You went back to the drawing board and changed the bond proposal, which then was passed, thus gaining credibility with Judson ISD community. See, you can make changes by listening to the Judson ISD community and not lose credibility. Dr. Salinas, Mr. Salinas, and Mr. Macias are in favor of addressing and resolving the new high school name issue and putting it on the agenda. Thank you for listening to the Judson ISD community, employees, former employees, and Judson ISD graduates. I'm not sure what the next step should be here, but I propose a committee for the future, a clear-cut guidelines of naming schools. Again, for the third time, my choice is Thomas E. Parsley. In closing, a school name is important.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. Okay? Just let me say this, one last sentence. I seriously doubt if Port Arthur or Beaumont districts will be naming any schools after Mr. Mackey. But thank you for allowing my voice to be heard. I hope you listen to us and change the name and gain credibility.
Thank you. Jeff Flynn.
Hi, my name is Jeff Flynn. I live in Cherry Glade in Northampton subdivision in the Judson ISD. I'm not here to voice my opinion about Wagner. I've got one, but nobody knows it. I'm here to offer just some suggestions that I think going forth would eliminate some of the problems we have today. Is you need to address your policy on naming facilities. I mean, we have Chris Baldassar, who gave his life. We have Eddie Parsley, who gave his life to Judson. We have Willis Mackey. We have Bonnie Schultz, who gave her career to Judson. I would offer up Eileen Lemberg. You know, I mean, there's many people, but how do you compare a young 22-year-old who died overseas with Mr. Parsley, with Mr. Mackey, with Mrs. Schultz? You can't. You need guidelines. Northside, you've got to be a Supreme Court justice to get a high school named after you. Northside, you've got Madison, Northeast, Madison, MacArthur, Churchill, Reagan. We won't talk about Lee. But, you know, I mean, still, you got to have a policy in place that tells here's how we establish a name. Because this district has a lot of schools named after regions. You've got Crestview and Spring Meadow and Park Village. You know, this could put in motion of people coming, I want to name this school after Bonnie Schultz. I want to name this school after some, and you need to have a policy that's set in stone. And this, I didn't know if this was a popularity contest, most votes wins. I didn't know if it was give us 30 names and we'll decide, we'll pick lots. We don't know how how it was changed. After the last speaker proposed on the September 16th, the Wednesday, September 15th, 16th meeting, whatever Wednesday was before the Thursday, it took 8 minutes to vote. 8 minutes. And you can see tonight, This is more than 8 minutes worth. It should have taken, take a Saturday, get a workshop, get a name of people, invite people, say, you're going to talk about Parsley, I want somebody to talk about Schultz, I want somebody to talk about Lemberg. Give them 5 minutes and let them tell you what those people did. Let somebody come talk about Mackey, what Mackey did. And then you guys discuss it amongst yourselves. Maybe have a citizens, for every one of you, have a citizen sit in and decide what the name is going to be. And if it isn't in time to change Mackey, then at least do us a favor so we don't have to go through this again. You guys know how many times Morgan, Adair, and I were the only two people sitting here, not school employees, at 10 or 11 o'clock. Well, that's changed. These people, until this happened, we never had this crowd, and this crowd is probably going to come back until something's done. Had a vote been happened tonight,
Thank you.
we'd be stuck with Mackey. A 3-3 vote eliminates your ability to change the vote.
Thank you. Daniel Plant.
Thank you guys for allowing me to speak tonight. I entered Converse Elementary, 1975, kindergarten. I received the pivot-toe paddle in 4th grade. Went to Kirby Middle School. My two coaches, they gave me licks, that's what they were called, for basketball practice, skipping basketball. Got to Judson. I did get the Parsley paddle back in 10th grade. But I graduated in 87. There was 2 teachers that changed my life. In 10th grade, I met the Paschal Kane, but he didn't use it on me. He hit it on that desk, and we stood up, and we were upright, and we listened. It's a disgrace to me that Paschal was in elementary. He should be part of the high school naming. Second thing is Pilot. Miss Pilot, she changed my life. She saved me. She helped me graduate. She poured into me and met me where I was at. I'd lost a best friend to sickle cell anemia. I was dropping down, wasn't going to graduate. And she said, "You're not going to graduate." And I said, "Who are you talking to?" I said, "Everyone passes me." She goes, "Oh, you're doing a good job. You're flunking on your own." She spoke life into me, and she changed my life. And she challenged me, make A's and B's in your other classes, and I'll give you your C. I did what she told me. I did it. I hear everyone talk today. I heard the speeches, and great for Parsley. He did paddle me. But I'll say this. There's a Laredo United down in Laredo. I would not mind this to be called United Patriots because there's so many people that name should be dedicated to. And I would love to see Paschal, Mr. Parsley, Miss Pilot. I can't do Tally because Tally Patriots, that doesn't sound good. But I'm going to say this because I have 1 minute left. I'm very disappointed because when I saw it on Facebook that Willis Mackey High School, see what I have left out is I was a teacher at Kirby Middle School. I came home. I wanted to be there. My first year back, this man came in there, spoke to the principal. We're going to do it, I'm not even going to say the way he wanted to do it. And he said, "I'm tired of the prissy little white girls over at Olympia getting exemplary. You don't refer to kids as prissy little white girls. That's offensive to a person that had best friends of all colors." So here's the thing I got to say, is he said we're going to do it the Mackey way. That's not bringing people together like Judson High School football did with those athletes. The reason they won is they brought people together from all races and they made them play as a team. He divided all the schools. It was different. And I left as I left as a happy teacher because I married out of my league. But here's the thing. I'm going to say this because a lot of teachers have left this school district. A lot of teachers are at Schertz Cibolo. A lot of teachers are Marion. They're taking lower pay because they were so unhappy. I'm just going to say this. United Patriots sounds like a great name, and putting those people's faces on there I think would be great.
Thank you.
Sorry, I wasn't an English teacher. I was a PE teacher. Sorry.
Tom England.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Tom England. I'm a teacher at Wagner High School. I'm also a city councilman in Universal City. And allow me to take this opportunity. I'd like to recognize a World War II Air Force combat vet in the audience by the name of Colonel Weimer. stop the watch. I'd also like to offer the board 2 comments on your minutes. Citizens to be heard is not an action item. Number 2, you have the opportunity tonight to not approve the name of Dr. Mackey by not approving the minutes that you have under consideration of consent items. Item A, consider and take action regarding approval of the minutes held on September 17th, 2015. You have the opportunity to overturn that opportunity, to overturn that name. Again, thank you, Judson ISD board members, for your volunteer service to the residents, parents, and above all, students in the Judson ISD. I'm Tom England. I live in Universal City, where I serve as a member of the City Council. However, unlike other local elected officials, I do not make it a long-term habit to attend JISD board meetings. I have lived in the Judson ISD since 1984. Both of my children are Judson High School graduates, and I will support a much-needed bond issue. However, I come here before you tonight to ask you to reconsider the name chosen for the new high school. The name selected for the JIS school is not an appropriate choice. While he was superintendent of the JISD, the most recent former superintendent's leadership style can only be described as that of a bully when dealing with teachers, students, and parents. This individual is not a role model that young people should emulate. As I said at the previous board meeting, in all of the leadership training classes I attended in the military and while obtaining my master's degree in education, I have never heard that being a bully is an appropriate leadership choice. Describing teachers as losers and children as prissy little white girls is not the professional behavior of someone that gets a high school named after them. If someone else had used the second phrase, changed the word white to some other ethnic category, that person would have been shown the door. In my experience as a teacher at Wagner High School, the most recent previous superintendent, in an attempt to get a bond issue passed, wasted district money and also put the district at risk of violating election laws by bringing in substitute teachers for teachers that were taken out of the classroom to accompany students, also taken out of the classroom, then placed on buses and driven to the students' respective voting locations so that they could vote in the bond election. The bond issue failed. However, I believe when using JISD resources, teachers, students, the cost of running the buses, the use of the bus drivers and the bus aides, and the lost classroom instruction time for the students was a waste of district money and a violation of bond election laws. Not irresponsible behaviors of someone that gets a school named after them. I also must point out that I speak before you this evening during what is called citizens to be heard. The functional parts of that phrase are citizens and heard. The use of the word heard implies that someone else is listening, not just waiting for the person to stop talking. The citizens of the Judson ISD are before you. Are you listening?
Thank you.
I ask that you reconsider the name of the new high school. Thank you very much.
Ulrich Judkins. She's coming from outside.
Good evening, members of the board. It's Ulrike Judkins. Thank you.
I'm sorry.
That's okay. I thank you that I'm allowed to speak tonight. I was very excited when I heard about the new high school being built. I just heard it promises us to have smaller classrooms for our students, and that's a good thing. I was also excited about the prospect about a new name. I was very much happy about the worthy naming of Wagner High School after Lieutenant Colonel Karen Wagner. However, even so the call went out to the public to vote, it seems to have not made a splash. And somehow it came from the top down, and I was very disappointed that the school board only considered someone of their own. I grew up in a different country and time and place. That was normal there. And I thought when the call then came through the social media websites to put in your input, that's good. So I signed up for the petition. No, I also was not in my pajamas. I was very offended when I heard that. It didn't matter that emails were sent out, that phone calls were made, that people lined up here to speak at the last school board meeting. I arranged to make my time to be able to come to the last meeting, but I didn't have the guts to speak, and I actually had to leave at a certain point. So today, again, I arranged my time to be able to be here tonight. It is important to me, it is important to this community here that we find a worthy name for this new high school. 26 years ago, my countrymen demanded that the wall would come down, and the wall did come down. Can we as a community give you guys input that a new name should be given to this high school? I was very disappointed to see that it was not on the agenda for today, which I find very disrespectful to what has been said. Leadership does matter. Character does matter. And what we as a community represent does matter. We should find a name which unifies the community, and we can stand behind it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay, we want to recognize the councilman from Converse, the city of Converse, Steve Brown. Didn't see him here. Thank you, sir, for being here. Okay, you want to take a break? Anybody? We're going to take about a 5-minute recess at this time.
Take a recess for 5 minutes to stretch.